All right, so in this video, we're going to look at your last quiz of the semester that covers lessons 3.3 and then 3.6 to 3.8. So let's go ahead and see what we start out with. Again, remember, just like all the other ones, the order that my quiz will be in will be different from yours. So let's see. So this one here, all right, so this is the one where we first have to find the scale factor for when someone's on Earth, they weigh 150 pounds, and when they go to the moon, they weigh 25 pounds because of less gravity, they weigh less. So it says, what is a scale factor comparing a person's weight on the moon to their weight on Earth? And so we're just going to compare literally 25 divided by 150. We want to leave our answer as a fraction, reduced form, and that fraction reduces to 1/6. So I want to make sure you can reduce that completely, because 6 times 25 is 150. So 25 goes into both 25 and 150 evenly. Now, if you started out with 5 and maybe said 5 over 30, you reduced it, but you didn't reduce it completely. So you want to make sure you always go all the way as much as you can. All right, so using your scale factor, how much would a person weighing 240 pounds on Earth weigh on the moon? Well, they're going to be 1/6 their weight. And so on the moon, they're going to weigh 1/6 as heavy. So if we just take 240 times 1/6, that would give you 40. So a person weighing 240 pounds on Earth would only weigh 40 pounds on the moon. All right, so on this next one, it says, find an equation for the inverse of the function h of x equals 3 over x plus 4. So what I'm going to do is, instead of writing down h of x, I'm going to write down y equals 3 over x plus 4. Because remember, y is the same as h of x. And our first step in finding the inverse is a really easy step. We just switch the x and the y around. So we'd have 3 over y plus 4 equals x. And so now our goal is to solve for y. Now, what I want to do here is I want to get rid of this fraction. So to get rid of this fraction, I'm going to multiply both sides by y plus 4. Okay, so what that's going to do is that's going to get rid of the y plus 4 on the right side. Now, I don't actually want to distribute and multiply the x times the y plus 4. So I would just leave this as y plus 4 times x equals 3. And then I would divide both sides by x to get rid of the x on the left side. So we'd have y plus 4 equals 3 over x. Now you might remember that, so I'm just going to go back here. Whoops. Let's erase some of this. So remember, looking at what we have right now to what we had here in blue, what happened was these two pieces switched positions. And so you could skip all that work we just did and just remember that, all you got to do is switch these two values. When you have a y in the denominator, you got to replace, you're not just switching the x and y, you're taking the entire denominator out and replacing it and swapping it with the x on the other side. So that's not our answer, though. It's not our answer. We want to get the y by itself. So I have y plus 4 equals 3 over x. So now I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So I'd get y equals 3 over x minus 4. So when I go to type that in, we're not going to put any spaces here. So just type it in as 3 divided by x minus 4. All right, so let's look at this one. So it says, suppose each element in data set is multiplied by 8. We want to complete each sentence to make true statements. Okay, so if we multiply everything by 8, remember that means the mean is also going to be multiplied by 8. The variance is multiplied by 8 squared, which would be 64. And the standard deviation is multiplied by 8. So remember, if you multiply a number by a set of values, everything as far as all of the statistical measures would also increase by being multiplied by that same scale factor, in this case by 8. The exception is the variance. The variance will be multiplied by that 8 squared. All right, so this one, they give us these two functions for f of x and g of x. So we're going to start by finding f of g of 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is find out, well, what's g of 1 equal to? So g of 1 means that I'm going to put 1 in for x into function g. So we'd have 3 times 1 minus 5. 3 times 1 is 3, minus 5 is negative 2. So now I'm going to take that answer and put it inside of function f. because we found g of 1 is negative 2, so we're going to put negative 2 inside of function f. And so function f says, now notice how I'm writing this, we're going to have negative 2 squared plus 7 times negative 2 plus 2. All right, some of you guys, when you typed this in, you did not use parentheses, and so you lost points because you typed it in as just negative 2 squared. And that tells the calculator to only square the 2 and not the negative. It's not because the calculator did something wrong, it's because you put it in wrong. So you need to make sure that if you're going to use a calculator, use it correctly. Otherwise, we can just do this in our head and just know that negative 2 squared would be a positive 4. 7 times negative 2 would be negative 14. So 4 minus 14 would be negative 10. And then when we add 2, we would get negative 8. So your answer here would be negative 8. Now let's find g following f of x, meaning I'm going to put function f inside of function g. So g following f of x means, again, I'm putting function f inside of g. So wherever I see, so I'm going to write this, here's what I like to do. I like to write down function g, but put in parentheses, so I can remember that I'm going to put inside that parentheses f of x. And f of x is x squared plus 7x plus 2. So now I just have to simplify this. So to simplify this, I'm going to distribute the 3 through, so we get 3x squared plus 21x plus 6, but don't forget about the 5. If you forgot about the 5, you lost points. So then we'd simplify the 6 minus 5 and get 1. So our final answer would be 3x squared plus 21x. That would be plus 1 as your answer. So we'll go ahead and plug that in, type that in here. So we have 3x squared. That's how you type in 3x squared. And then plus 21x, and then plus 1. All right, Mr. McLean adjusted the grades of his 127 students by adding 3 points to each score. Okay, so that's key there. The student's original score described in the table below. Find the values of the adjusted statistical measures after adding the 3 points to each score. So remember that when we add a number to a set of data, the only thing that changes is our 3 M's, your mean, your median, and your mode. And I don't see my mode in this list, so it's just the mean and the median that are going to change. We're going to change it by adding 3. So this will be 89%. The standard deviation is going to stay the same. The median is going to increase by 3, so that'll be 87. The range will stay the same, and the variance will stay the same. Oops. And that's it. So that was the last question. So those are the 5 questions on the quiz. So hopefully that answers your questions. And if not, like I've said before, make sure you reach out to me and let me know if you want to go over any of them in more detail individually, and I'll make sure to do that.